Hello, big beautiful world. Today we are going up for the third leg of the Mariposa to Breckenridge. Or is it Breckenridge to Mariposa? I don't know. I'm not in America. What do I know about such things? We're doing the third leg, which is Olancha up to Lone Pine. Let's get up in the air. It's only about, hopefully about 20 minutes. We'll see how we go. Hopefully we'll survive the ordeal and it will be okay. We're off. SP's alive. We're looking good. We've got the power lines. Why am I doing this? Because, like I said, it's brief and it's a testimonial to one of the things that I first fell in love with the release upon the release of MSFS2020, and of course, it is the bush trips. The 5, I think, native ones that originally came. I think this was the first one I undertook with it, but of course, over successive iterations and updates and upgrades, we've seen that everybody's, I don't know if they ever completely worked it out, but yeah, all your results tend to get blown away. And of course, you've got all the bush trips up on the famous .to environment, but these original 5 are outstanding. Here we've got the Piper Cub. We'll pop outside and have a squeeze. Not that we really need to, but you cats have seen all this before, but let's have a look. I can see that the instruments are back as well. I'm going to get rid of those. Give ourselves a bit of flight. And like I said, this was the first one I undertook, and I was gobsmacked. I just thought, I know you can get Neofly now, and I might load that up over the next couple of weeks, see what it's like. If any of you cats have a recommendation as to whether it's good, bad or indifferent, please let me know in the comment section. This is having wended our way through the mountains over past Bakersfield, back to Olancha back yonder, along the Kern River and so on. But these things are a joy to undertake. If you're just after something quiet and meditative, Patagonia and this one are really good fun. In fact, I remember on this one when I first did it, I'd gotten to the point where I was coming off, I think it was the final leg or one of the final legs, and I'd taken off out of Lake Tahoe, and somehow managed to get myself lost in the mountains and ended up back over Lake Tahoe. And it was only as I'm flying over it I think, wow, this looks familiar, and mercifully I got away with it. I somehow figured it all out. But the joy of VFR without, as you can see, without even the simple GNS version of the Garmin, it's really kind of telling and good fun. But I absolutely dig this sucker. Earlier today I was mucking around with the Schleicher glider, the K7 glider, which is freeware up on TO. It's great. It's a really cool, because it's effectively a training glider, and if you've got is it FS Kinetic that allows you to have the tow plane and so on, that's super cool with it. I took off up out at Lilydale north of Melbourne here, and the Schleicher was a lot of fun, because I don't know, for all you non-glider pilots, I'm not a glider pilot, I don't know if I could ever get into it and enjoy it, to be honest. That constant variometer beeping, I think, would drive me nuts. I'm just kind of not wired that way, unfortunately. But yeah, I have to say that because the Schleicher is, I reckon it dates back to maybe the late 50s, early 60s. And to look at it, if you haven't seen it already, you can go up to flightsim.to, just type in SCHLEICHER K7, I think it is, And you'll see it reminds me of the old World War II Slingsbys, and the kind of, actually, yeah, the kind of pre-war, what did they used to call it? Call them Schulgleiter. Oh, interesting. Got a few weird and wackies taking place with the aircraft. Bit of a buffet coming off the Thames, coming off the mountains. So a bit of turbulence up here, which is kind of nice. Keeps me honest. Yeah, this is a joy. It's a joy with all the traffic emerging out of nowhere. Always good for a chuckle. I think that's the LA Canal. Does it become the LA River or the Los Angeles River? I'm not sure. But yeah, here we are. We're flying up to Lone Pines Airfield. Between the two rivers up yonder. Flight, they reckon, of about 20 minutes. 19 minutes, knowing me, of course. As you see, I've just found a way to stretch that out to 25. What else? I still haven't bought the Velocity XL. I don't think so. I need to. You know, there's no FOMO on this puppy. I just figure, well, I've got enough aircraft to birdle about in. So many I've still got to take up in the air. I really do dig the Cessna. There I go again. Shoot me now. The Beach Model 18. I think it's glorious. Really, really cool fun shooting about in that one. If you haven't caught the video from yesterday, go and have a squiz. It's good fun. It is good fun. I'm keen to see how they're going to treat the DC-3 when they release update 11, or the one they've got coming up in August, World Update. It's going to be interesting, the DC-3. I'm kind of surprised that they didn't revamp the DH-88 as well, the Comet, the Havilland Comet, because I'm pretty sure that came with FSX as well, didn't it? I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong. But, you know, the Comet would be great with the twin Gypsy miners on it. Hopefully someone soon will release it. It'll be hot. It's I think one of the most beautiful aircraft in the world. Not unlike, but again vastly different from the Beech 18 or any of those ones flying the Wasp Junior engines like the Beech 17. Oh man, a ton of aircraft were using that donk, and they were all good lookers. They all, I guess they've all had their day in the sun though. I think even the Lockheed Electra, both the Model 10 and 12, ran the Wasp Junior, the N985. Again, I'm not worth quoting on that one, but yeah, very, very cool. These bush trips, it's a joy to rediscover them. I've got to say, I really have. I've been having a ball getting back into it. The changing landscapes, even with each successive leg, it's just an absolute blast to have us, you know, to go through it all. And like I said, it's a joy to kind of fly. I guess it's the operative word here is joy. It doesn't matter what your flight simming approach is. It doesn't matter. I've said it in the past. If you have any qualifications, all the qualifications, or none of the qualifications, the joy is in. And I must admit, I'm utterly addicted to watching how people treat the simulator, the flight simulator. I can almost feel the pleasure that people are deriving as they learn new things or as they fly over new landscape. The wow factor, it's quite saying something that in 2.5 years, or is it 2.5 years now that this puppy's been about, it's never diminished. It is just never diminished. It has been this constant, I don't recall a single flight, even the ones where I've handled them very badly, where I haven't looked out at some point and gone, wow, how utterly how utterly beautiful, how wide-ranging or desolate or colourful or verdant or mountainous, or there's always something to take one's breath away, and it's just hard to kind of get that. It's the equivalent, I guess, for me, the virtual equivalent of I did diving for a few years here in Australia, scuba diving, and I never kept it up. It wasn't ultimately a thing that I kept in love with, but while I did it, I really enjoyed it. And one of the immediate things was, no matter how articulate or eloquent you are, you can never realistically find the words where you can convey and convince other people of the magic of it all. And it's a nerdy thing, or possibly even a weak or feeble thing to say. That one could say the same thing about the simulator, but I reckon it holds true. You try and convey the joy, the kind of Zen meditative aspects you can derive even on the simplest circuit flight here in the flight simulator, especially with little touches like FS Realistic and Kinetic, or the Preset Weather Pro, or any of those. They're absolutely brilliant. Everything conspires to make it immersive. So if you are watching this and you are running Neofly, let me know what you think, because like I say, I keep on hitting the trigger to load it up, but I just haven't done it yet. The bush trips make it just the right level of gaminess for me. If I need to have meaning inside Flight Sim, the bush trips, this sort of thing is plenty for me. But please let me know if what your thoughts are on Neofly. I'd be very, very keen to hear it. And anything else, what are your favourite aircraft? As always, just, I know I don't say like it and subscribe and all that nonsense, but if you want to, please feel free to do so. I've always got more of these waffling videos coming out, and I don't mind them, because I like, I don't want it to be a love letter to a Sobo, or to Carinado, or to Microsoft, or this ongoing sort of gushing fanboy love letter. But on the other hand, I'm not ashamed of it either. I'm really, really grateful for this cool product that thousands, tens of thousands, possibly hundreds of thousands of people all over the world are using to derive some pleasure from in this way. It's really a great thing. And yeah, massive kudos to them, massive thanks to them, for all of the picking apart, for all the, this doesn't have 102 rivets as promised, it only has 101, or it has 103, for all of that stuff. And that's not really a sledge at anybody but myself, because traditionally I've been as bad, which is why I say this time around, I kind of taken a vow unto myself to say, don't be like that flying wire, leave those days in the past. Just, you got this cool flight simulator, and to give you guys and gals an idea of the vintage that I am, my first exposure to any kind of flight simulator would have come when I was about 7 or 8 years old. Not even that. One of my older brothers used to take me to a place called Luna Park. It's on Sydney Harbour. If you're flying in flight simulator on Sydney Harbour, look for a big laughing face under the harbour bridge. That's our famous Luna Park, and it's full of funfair rides. And up one end is a place called Coney Island, and Coney Island has a number of unusual things in it, but one of the most unusual when I was a little boy, was it had a little blast off stand where you could use 2 joysticks, one to control the throttle and one to control your pitch and roll, and it would control this little metal aircraft that you would try and land onto an airfield that came on an elongated kind of three-dimensional walkway, like a diorama that would unfold on a rotating wheel, basically. So that was my first exposure to a flight sim. So I can safely assure anybody out there who might be watching this, we've come a long way. Not that I'm trying to set myself up as some Methuselah, although I certainly do qualify. But yeah, it is a joy to run about in. Now that most likely, just going to circle this puppy, and I don't think that's my one. I think that's going to be 61 or something. 26, there you go. Okay, cool. Oh man, I just love this sucker. Tell me, I don't know if it's successive updates or whether I ended up getting a better computer at some point, or whether it, yeah, I'm not sure, but I swear when I first did this, the mountains looked a whole lot more ice creamy, but because we didn't have anything to compare it to 2.5 years ago, they still look fantastic. They do more so now. They actually look really... they look, frankly, tough, challenging to get through. And that's great. That's terrific. I love that you know, running up through these mountains, the likes of, I guess, here in Australia, we've got a couple of comparable ranges that come to mind. We've got Flinders Ranges in South Australia, which have their own unique beauty. They have I don't know if it's Patterson's Curse or Laurel, but at certain times of year, the mountains are just covered in purple. You know, might even be the composition of the rock itself in the sunlight. But then you've got our most famous one, and certainly I think the tallest mountain in the country, across the entire continent of Australia, is Mount Kosciuszko. And I'm ashamed to say I really don't know what the height is. I'm not that patriotic people, unfortunately. I think there are, and I've said it many times and I'll go on saying it, I think it's just something not worth getting invested in. No sooner have you joined one tribe than they'll punt you out and want you to join the next one. So, yeah, but that being said, that's what Flight Sim drives home is, it sets aside all those divisions, all those dichotomies, all those fractures, all those flaws, and reminds us that we live on this remarkable little blue-green ball that is ever changing by the hour. And that's what I mean. If you can't take your hat off to the people who created it, then honestly, man, you got no heart. I reckon it's the most amazing thing. And as I said, even when I fly shabbily, which is 9 times out of 10, or 9.99 times out of 10, I've got to tell you that you know, it's still, it never once ceases to put a smile on my face. And I hope it does the same for you, each of you. I find it a point of interest. Something I mull over quite a bit is the whole notion that, now I guess life hasn't taught me a whole lot, but if it's taught me one thing, it's there are countless ways to disconnect from each other, from everything. And really only a handful of ways to get it together and connect in any way that's going to be meaningful or of value. And it's something that Flight Sim, it sounds perverse, it sounds, like I said, it's really weak, it's this down home or homespun philosophy that isn't worth a damn in reality. But the truth of it is that whenever I fly in this thing, or whenever I boot up the flight simulator, I do think of all of you cats out there, all of you invisible faces who might be sitting there doing the same thing, flying about in a little Piper or a tube liner at 36,000 feet, or a little experimental GA aircraft like the Zippy, or you know, the Velocity XL or whatever. And you too, from the age of, I don't know, I'll say, what, 14 to 94, might be having an absolute blast, hurtling about for 10 minutes or half an hour. That's a really kind of great thought to me, because, yeah, I just, well, primarily because there are only a handful of ways to connect. There's certainly a whole lot less ways to connect than there are to dissect and pull apart. So in a way, it's kind of illusory because it unites us all, even though we'll never get to meet or know each other, or once in a while we might join in multiple flights. But on the other hand, it's all right that it's like that. It's more than all right that it's like that, because for a brief while people give a damn about either learning to perfect flying skills perhaps, or maybe if you're anything like me you think, oh, what does that place look like in the world? You know, I've often thought about it for whatever, for God knows whatever reason. And yet then you think, yeah, I'll just see if there's an airport there and I'll take off and see what we can do. Alright, that's looking more familiar, peeps. Yeah, okay. I reckon that's mine. Why don't I just come in? Give us a look. Look, if you are watching this, or you do watch any of these, I do thank you. I genuinely thank you for doing so. Very much in the spirit that I thank the other crews, Asovo, Microsoft, Carinado, and all the other companies who make great aircraft for the flight sim. And I do hope that, like me, you draw a breath once in a while, just on every single flight, to go, wow. I don't know why that kind of means anything to me, if it really does mean anything to me at all, but it's a lovely thought that in times of trouble and strife, you can actually get onto this thing and empty out, relinquish all those concerns for a little while. I think I've just got to get up in the air and fly about and look at stuff that is really cool, and hopefully get the aircraft down in one piece. Maybe, like I said, I'll eventually end up with Neofly, but if I don't, if I continue just revamping all these old bush trips or whatever, then I will surely have done a lot worse, because what are we doing? Oh yeah, okay, yeah, no, I've left that one a little too close, clan. Yeah, the sheer bloody joy of it all. Perfect time to land as well. It feels like it's evening. It feels like I need a cup of tea now after getting down. And maybe a bite to eat after a hard day on the dusty trail. That's what I think it feels like, doesn't it? Let's just try and bring her up so we can at least get 1 degree of flaps. Yeah, cool. Hopefully hit the center line with my old tired eyes, etc, etc, etc. Yeah, man, those mountains, they look cool. They look really, really grand. I'll take that.
Nice landing. I'm impressed.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And you. You know what? Normally I'd pull up on the ramp, but because these are bush trips. Just by stopping generally does it. Look people, you let me waffle. You're too good to me. Thank you very much, clan. I hope you've had a fantastic weekend and continue doing so. Alright, big beautiful world. Bye.